Welcome to Currents Up Close. My name is Martin Arthur. I'm the Cultural Program Supervisor for the City of Cedar Falls, and I run the James and Merle Hearst Center for the Arts. I'm here in the studio today with Shannon and Colleen Graham. I first met them last year after they had some photos in the First 50 exhibit, and my curator and I went to visit them in their studio. They've got a fascinating studio, and we're very pleased to be having an exhibit of their photography coming up this winter.
Okay.
Why don't we begin by having you tell us a little bit about yourselves and what you do?
I'm Shannon.
And I'm Colleen.
Together we are S&C Graham Photo Design, our S&C Design Studios.
Yep.
We're commercial and fine art photographers for the last 18 years. We started out on the East Coast, and now we're in Cedar Falls, where we have a studio over on State Street. So we're Cedar Falls based, and that's where we're at. That's what we do.
Yeah.
Well, your exhibit is called Studies in the Reactions of Silver and Light. Will you tell us why you're calling it that?
It is all black and white film photography, so all very traditional photography. And the process of photography is based on silver gelatin prints and the reaction of those and the light that comes with and how that works together.
It's the reactions of what silver does when light hits it. So that's kind of how it is. We did have a huge list for this of titles, and this one this title best suits of what we got going on.
It
right
encompasses the entire body instead of giving it a theme. It's more of a general study.
Okay. So how many pieces are on this exhibit?
35 to 40.
Oh.
As it is right now, give or take. We have most of it done and ready to rock there, but there might be a few more, might be a few less, so right around there.
The majority are chosen already. We're just kind of in the final editing stages of it.
So how long have you actually been working on this?
This body has been probably about the last 2.5 to 3 years total that we've been producing these. So it's a lot of our most recent work there.
The exhibit opens on January 14 and it runs through March 27th. There will be an opening reception from 5 to 7 p.m. that opening day, January 14th, and we're going to have live music, a beer tasting, and of course refreshments of other kinds.
Yeah.
You also have a number of other events planned in conjunction with the exhibit. Why don't we talk a little bit about those?
Sure. Well, on February 7th, that's a Sunday, we're going to have a lecture. I think it's at the May Latta Hall there at the Hearst Center. So that'll be 1:30 in the afternoon. Good thing to do on a weekend in the middle of winter. Come and listen to us talk. And then on February 17th, we're going to have invite the Friends of the Hearst over to the studio for an open house. They can tour the studio, the darkroom, and kind of get a little insight behind the scenes of how we produce the work that's in the exhibit.
I'm sure they'll find it just as fascinating as Emily and I did.
We have a lot of eye candy in the studio, put it that way.
Right. And why don't you tell us where your studio is located while we're at it?
Oh yeah, our studio is on State Street. We're at 1924 State Street, so on the south edge. If you know where Mulligan's is and Hanson's Dairy, we're just south of there.
Right. So, what does the work in your exhibit consist of?
Well, it's pieces and parts of projects that we've been working on. We're kind of that kind of photographer too, where we work in themes for a while or work on certain projects. So it's bits and pieces of different projects that are ongoing. There's some abstracts in there, which is from a project called Daydream Nation, Circles of Confusion. There's all the abstracts. There's a project in there called Workings, which is bits and pieces of machines and industrial stuff, and it's just showing details and shadows and tonalities of ordinary objects that you might not be able to know what the subject is, but that's okay. you know, we're with our equipment and things, and we like to manipulate reality a little bit and just show the tonality and the beauty in things, and just a different way of looking at your world around you is what basically the pieces are.
Mm-hmm. There's the Things Project too, which is a series of still life images that are a little bit more mysterious and thought-provoking, shall we say. And a lot of our work is, some of the pieces in there are more of just studies of light, you know, shadows falling onto different objects. And we like to shoot a lot of vintage stuff, a lot of vintage objects and scenes, tabletop sets that put some of that together.
With your vintage cameras?
Yes.
Yes, we use all manual, all vintage equipment, and a lot of times we build our own sets. So it's from ground up photography. It's, you know, we do everything ourselves. It's all in-house.
Well, in these days of digital photography, you're still doing everything with film and the darkroom. Why do you choose to do it that way?
We like the manualness of it. All of our equipment is, there's no computers in these things. There's not even batteries in them. We deal with photography at a molecular level, as opposed to digital photography is you're dealing with electrons. Mm-hmm. Film and analog photography is much more organic. It's very natural. Go on that. We like to unplug and get away from the computers. If the film process forces us to slow down a lot and contemplate more of what we are shooting. We may take just one or two shots of a particular image, and we have to get that right within there. It's much more relaxed, much more thought-provoking. I liken it a lot to, how a painter approaches a blank canvas. That's more similar to. There is no preview like you do on your digital camera, where you have that screen behind it. This film photography requires more vision and more know-how. The computer's in our head as opposed to in our hand, and I like that aspect of it. And I've always loved film and darkroom work, and it's because of that. It's a practice in vision, is what it is.
So, what advantages are there to using film rather than the digital?
A lot of times it's tonalities. The size of film that we use, you get good resolution. Tonalities and contrast with some of these retro papers that we use. Some of the chemistries that we use, we hand mix. And you bring out certain, if you want something a little bit warmer tone, well, there's chemistry for that, a little this, a little that, and you mix that up until you got it right, and until you match that picture in your head. And that's kind of just how we roll there.
And there's a big difference between the look and the feel of an analog photograph on paper versus a digital picture that has been printed. Right. There's a grain in film photography, and then there's pixels in digital photography. And there is a big difference between those, the look and the feel. It's more authentic look to the image when it's printed with film photography.
And if you blow it up, it doesn't just pixelate the way that digital things do. I remember years ago there was a film called Blow Up where they kept blowing this picture up more and more so they could solve a mystery.
Yeah.
That wouldn't happen with digital.
No. And the films that we use, the medium and large format, the medium format is basically 4 times the size of a 35 millimeter, if you're, people who are familiar with that we used to use. And then his large format is considerably bigger than that. So we can enlarge things even greater and manipulate them without losing any of the quality.
And on the molecular level too, molecules can do that better than what electrons can. That's just the way technology works. So we really like film and darkroom stuff that way. A lot of it is just the organicness of it, and the way the water sounds, is the way these shutters sound. Nothing really sounds like that. So you don't get that with a digital camera, you know, you really don't hear that shutter or whatever. And so we like that part of it. You're more involved with it.
Right. Nothing sounds like a Hasselblad shutter, that's for sure. Or even his 4x5 shutter, it's just a different sound to it. And then when we're in the dark room, there's, you know, we're in dark or we're in that red light, and so there's different sounds with that too. It's a different sensory experience to it.
I know I find it frustrating when I'm trying to take digital photographs. I have, you know, just the shot I want, and then, but there's always that little pause between the time that you press the button and the time that the picture is taken, and usually you don't get what you want. I know with old, you know, the old format of photography, you got what you wanted,
exactly,
what you expected.
Yeah, and a lot of the times, like with your phone cameras, you know, you don't know what shutter speed it's using, so you don't know if it's going to stop the action, and the majority of times it doesn't. No. So you get a blurry picture, and yeah, this definitely makes you think a little bit more.
A lot of times our exposures are really long, anywhere from 1 to 2 minutes all the way to 45 minutes. Some of them are an hour. And within that time, the film is, the light is going through the lens and exposing onto the film, gives you time to contemplate and what exactly is happening during that exposure. You know, what part of that subject light is hitting you. It's just a very serenity type of feeling.
Yeah.
So that's another aspect that we really like about it. And no instant gratification. We can't look at the back of the screen. So a lot of times we have to wait to see, you know, did we get that shot? Or, you know, we're on pins and needles until we get that thing processed, and you really don't know if you got it until you process the film and turn the lights on. And sometimes you do and got it, and sometimes you don't. When you do nail it, you know, it's like Christmas. You know, it's, oh man, cool, I got that. And if you didn't, well, you know what, do that again. And it's all about the vision, and you match that picture that's in your head.
Well, let's take a break now, and we'll come back and talk to you a little bit more about the lost art of the darkroom.
Okay.
Pretty much a good day for me would be people leaving their hands off of me. I'm always called names. Everywhere that I go, there's always someone calling me names, calling me gay. I've been choked, thrown up against a wall, punched. Nobody's ever tried to help me.
We all know that the Cedar Valley is a great place to live and work. And there are many individuals and organizations that are doing their part to improve the quality of life for everyone that calls this their home. On Serving the Valley, we sit down with these service organizations to learn more about different projects and events that need your support. We all need to do our part to help out our community. Tune into Serving the Valley to learn more.
Really? Buzz, what's up, man? You left some leaves burning out here.
Yeah, I just came in just for a second.
Come on, man. If it's too hot to touch, it's too hot to leave. You could torch the whole neighborhood.
It's a good point there, Smokey.
9 out of 10 wildfires are caused by humans.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Hi, may I please have an application? Thank you.
Skip the drama. Get your diploma.
Okay.
Take that first step towards a better future. Find free adult education classes at finishyourdiploma.org.
People think I'm trash, but they're wrong. Today I'm just an aluminum can, but one day That could be a stadium.
Welcome back to Currents Up Close. I'm Martin Arthur, Cultural Program Supervisor for the City of Cedar Falls, and I'm talking to Shannon and Colleen Graham about their upcoming exhibit at the Hearst Center, and it's called Studies in the Reactions of Silver and Light. Welcome back to... we were talking about your darkroom and how you use film, and why don't you talk a little bit about the lost art of the darkroom?
You know, a lot of what the post-production in photography after the photographer comes back after a shoot has turned into into computer work, basically. Mm-hmm. So, and that's the digital darkroom. And, you know, that's a lot of sitting in your office chair staring at a screen, where in our darkroom, it's very physical. It's very lively. We work under red light, and we have our 2 enlargers there. We work with paper and film, so it's a very tangible process that we work with.
Yeah, it's very physical. You know, when you're working in the darkroom for 10, 12 hours and standing up, and there's a lot of things going on in your head, and you're listening to timers, and you're listening to the water drip, and it's just the whole experience of that. That digital photography takes away from you, and I think digital photography kind of teaches you that way. And like I said, when you're printing and processing for 12 hours, and at the end of the day, you know it kind of hurts, you know.
It is a physical job.
It's a very physical job, and a lot, you know, digital photography takes a little bit of that physicalness away.
Well, you're mixing chemicals and.
Yep.
Right.
So it's also probably you have a little bit of the sense of smell going on there.
Oh yeah, ventilation is a massive issue.
Yeah.
So once in a while we do that. I get out of that room and take the dog for a walk for a second.
Get some fresh air. It's always good. And like when we're processing our film, we have to do that in the dark. Well, especially with his 4x5, he has to do all of that in complete darkness. So we don't even have the advantages of red light. The red light is for when we're actually printing, because paper is not sensitive to the red light. So he can be in there for an hour and a half at a time in pitch blackness. And you have to know where everything is in the darkroom. It's very organized.
It's like a big
and it's
memory
chaos.
game. Like, you know, where's my scissors? Where's this? And where's the water turn off? And it's also a great time for me just to reflect and think. I solve a lot of world's problems in my head when I'm in the darkroom. It's just me and my film and my chemistry, and that does a whole lot for me as a person, I think. And that's just kind of how I roll with that.
Mm-hmm. And there's little challenges we give ourselves, because like with my medium format films, I time myself on how quickly can I roll 10 rolls of film onto the spools in order to get them ready.
She's a marathon roller.
Yeah, so I challenge myself, and I can do it really fast.
So you roll your own film.
Yes, yeah, because we have to unwind it from the spool and then wind it onto a spool that in the developing tank. Then.
And for sheet film, of course, you got to unload your holders and you put them in the film hangers for processing, and that's a whole different gig there when you're looking for stuff around, and you're not really looking, you're feeling, and just trying to figure out where you're in your room. It does get very comfortable once you've been in there a while and you know where everything is at, and
your eyes begin to acclimate so you can actually see shadows, and we have glow-in-the-dark tape on certain spots.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, you know, after 15, 20 minutes in there, you kind of start to get night vision a little bit, and either that or it's just spots in front of your eyes, you know, whatever.
Right.
We talked earlier about the variety of things that you're going to have in this exhibit, and what are you trying to convey with this body of work?
Tonalities, contrast, which is another reason why we use film, and that there's just beauty in everything. We are very lucky to have the sun, which is a star, and we are just in love with light, and that's what we want to convey to people, that there's beauty all around us and just a different way of looking at your world. In you know, there's shapes and tonality. You know, the way the light hits something it's all magical to us, and how that works. We're lucky enough to be on a planet that has light like this, and so that's what we're kind of trying to convey with that, and how traditional photography really embraces that light, and it's all about light and silver.
Right, and the absence of color through black and white lets the viewer see things in a different perspective with that, and you know, the color isn't muddling our brains, and so it lets you see more of the form and the basic beauty of objects. And we love rust and dust because it's got more texture to it.
Yeah, and we can change the color of things. You know, we can make the sky black. We can make reds look black. Make reds look white. So we change. I like messing with reality that way, and so it's really not what it is in real life. And so that's why in a lot of these images, you know, you really don't know what it is because it's not reality. You know, it's more it's more filtered reality.
So what's your thought process as you're doing this?
A lot of times it starts out as just an idea, or a picture in our head,
or a feeling.
Or a feeling. You know, what does love look like? You know, what does anticipation look like? What does sadness look like? And we just try to photograph that. And to me, love is light, and the way light loves everything, and it does not discriminate. And then it's drawing sketches, writing notes, and then logistics on how to make that happen, how to match that picture that's on the paper to the one that's in your head. It's kind of like a box, like a puzzle box, where you got the picture on the front of the box, and then you open up the box and you have all these pieces. Well, you have to figure out how to solve that puzzle, and it's problem solving.
Mm-hmm. That's about 85% of photography. You know, and sometimes we start out with an object, and then we want to figure out how to photograph that. Think that would be really cool. So what things could be added to it, what light would be best with it. And, you know, there are occasions where we go out on location and shoot that we find this really nice scene or this nice small vignette area, and the light isn't perfect. So we got to go back tomorrow, or we got to go back the next day. We're constantly looking at the sky and looking at, you know, following the weather. Sometimes the wind's even too high, because if he's at a long exposure, his camera can shake. So we can't be out there on a windy day, and we have a wind meter that tells us where the wind is at, you know. And
so what do you hope that people will come away from this exhibit with?
Well, the exhibit and the lecture both. I hope, you know, the whole program, the rounded program, I hope they come away with a different way of looking at their world. Just seeing how we look at it, and hearing how we look at it, and then how can you do that yourself? And I guess that's what it is. I hope my photography inspires people to look at their world around them differently. I want them to go home and maybe look at a plate or dishes or the cupboard in a different way. And it's almost like being reborn. When you do that, it's like a whole nother world opens up for you. when you look at things differently than what our fast-paced community already, provides you.
Right, and hopefully, it'll. The other thing is giving people a new appreciation for the traditional aspect of our medium, rather than the constant instant gratification. More of we can still do things in this digital world that cause us and force us to slow down and have a real appreciation for that. And that's one of my main things that I like to get across to people.
Well, I'm sure that everybody who comes to your studio is going to be as fascinated as I was, and especially when you show them some of the projects you've worked on and that aren't represented in this exhibit. Again, the exhibit is Studies and the Reaction of Silver and Light, and we're with Shannon and Colleen Graham. And I'd like to invite everybody to come and see the exhibit. It opens on January 14th. We have a reception that evening from 5 to 7 p.m. And it will run through the 27th of March, and we'll have a number of other events in conjunction with it, including a lecture on February 7th and a visit to your studio on the 17th of February. Thank you for coming and sharing with us.
Sure, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for having us. Thank you for your support.
And thank you for tuning in to Currents.